My name is Trinidad. I want to talk to you today about communications and via text and email and through the phone. And more or less that I just don't get it. I received a text from a girl uh, with all these emojis and abbreviations, and I wanted to call my son and let him know. But that means that I have to explain that uh, I'm getting a phone call or text from a girl after midnight. Uh, and I'm 57. So there's a 35-year difference between me and my peers. Yeah, I wasn't going to go there. Um, and there is a big gap. There's the difference in age, is a difference in technology, a difference in how we learn to communicate. And I've come to the conclusion that we need to start taking 10 seconds and just think before we send anything. When I was growing up, we had a phone attached to a wire. So we had to go in as far as the wire would take us. We'd go and go to that limit, and we would talk on the phone. But there was no emojis. There was no abbreviations. I didn't know what S. I didn't have to try to figure out what SC means or LTSGT uh, to GHT, which means let's get together. When it comes to speaking with others, texting, cell phones, we just grew up in two different worlds, and there was no Pictionary basically. With this all seems to be like. Um, so there's a difference in how we communicate. Me, meaning me, a 57-year-old and a 22-year-old. Uh, and after all these years, I didn't think there was going to be so much of a gap, but it's clearly understood there is a gap. I could barely understand every other word sometimes because there's a bad communication uh, with, it's buffering or what have you. So if you're only understanding 50%, that means every other word, there's going to be a loss in translation and trust and a loss in what is the person trying to tell you. Um, so, you know, I think one of the biggest solution is that if you're sending a Hershey's kiss followed by a peppermint candy by kissing lips, uh, that means the person has to try to figure out what is it you mean, or they're just going to block you because they don't know. There's a crazy person. So how a person translates and the language um, and understanding the language between two people is very important because when somebody says LMAO or SML or I'm so confused IDK, you want to be able to understand what those things mean. Finally, I'm starting to understand. And be aware of your audience. Be aware of the age difference, the language difference, the platforms you're using, because not all emojis mean the same thing for every platform or for every language that matter. Um, so I guess this call to attention would be take 10 seconds and stop to think before you press send. Um, just think before you send because you don't know how the other person's going to interpret it.